I'm just going to highlight some of what I think are the important things on these drop ceilings. The grid's going to hang opposite direction of your floor joists. Your main tees are going to go long ways here, at least on this one. I mapped it all out on graph paper, counted all my pieces, all my tiles, where my lights go, everything. So you got a plan. It's going to make it a lot easier. And then transfer that to the wall. Find the lowest point of your ceiling, and that's going to determine where the bottom of your grid is. I got a main tee going right next to that thing. There's my center mark, and my other main tee is going to be there. You can also, when you lay these out, graph paper or whatever, I just did this to show you, you can split the center. Split the center in half and then measure out that way your 2 foot. But that way I ended up with a little 5-inch piece on either end. Just not ideal. The bigger the piece, the better as far as waste goes, and it's going to look better. And I also end up with your main tees are 4 foot apart, so I ended up with 1, 2, 3 main tees doing it that way. So that whole plan is out the window. That's not going to work out. So I'm going by my drawing, 2 foot from the center. That'll give me probably a 1.5 foot piece on either side, and also that will give me 2 main tees. It's going to be a little easier to manage that way. Transfer your line all the way around the room, and then wall angle goes on first. I always butt my ends together. You can miter inside and out. I don't think it's necessary, but you can if you want. And then I try to cover that chalk line too with the wall angle. I mark where my studs on the wall angle, and I'll drill a little pilot hole on there. Just makes it a heck of a lot easier to fasten to the wall because that wall angle is so thick. Here, this glass block window, I just spanned across that. You're not going to see it from inside or the outside. You don't have to have a bunch of framing there and whatever. There's not going to be a lot of weight on that. So there's my main tees on the left and right, 4 foot apart. I need to transfer that mark to the ceiling, and then I'll find the first floor joist and make a mark. And you can either mark each end, snap a line, or you can measure each one. This is small enough, I'm going to measure each one. So I'll skip 2 floor joists, make another mark, skip 2, make another mark, and so on and so forth, because that's going to give me about 4 foot between my brackets. The little screw things with the hole in it for the wire. Those go in the ceiling. There's a bit that makes putting those things in a lot easier for your drill. Just make sure you watch out for, wires and pipes and stuff. Take a good look on both sides of your floor joists. Make sure there's nothing, running through there before you screw those in. And then take a chunk of wire. I'm going to hang a chunk of wire on each one of those hanging down before I put my main tee on. So I laid out the long wall. That's my last 2 foot mark there to the corner. And that's where I want to cut my main tee. I also laid it out by splitting the center, just kind of to show you, but I end up with a goofy piece there too. So that's going to be my mark. I'm going to cut the main tee from that mark back to the wall. Main tee is marked, or it's got those little slots in it every 6 inches. That's where your grid snaps into. And then cut it accordingly. The main tee's got to be, pretty tight across there. You don't want a lot of play in those. Some guys rivet them to the ceiling, the wall angle. I don't think it's necessary, but mine ended up right on the end. Worked out good for me. You can string a line from end to end, but where my wires are, I'm just going to measure off the floor joist and bend my wire. I'll get all the wires bent at the right height and then go back through and twist them up real good to the closest hole on the grid there. So starting with the 4 foot tees in the middle, I'm going to work my way back to the wall, skip 3 holes, put another one, and so on. That's going to give me my 2 foot marks there. I got all the 4 footers in and put the 2 footers in. Get that whole middle section done before you can put all your cut pieces in. It's just going to be a lot easier. You need a little bit of room to twist those in there before you put these cut pieces in the sides or the ends. It makes it a lot easier. You're not fighting these sides. So when you get all that squared away, your cut pieces, you're going to have to cut them a little bit short so you can angle them to snap them in there. And if you're using one of these circle cutters for your lights, I always cut part way through the front and then finish it off through the back, because that thing will destroy the front of your panel if you're not careful. And then I'm going to put my light panels in first and then snap the rest of my cut pieces into the grid here. A little bit of play side to side, that's okay. Like I said, you're going to have to cut them a little bit short. I mean, you don't want it so short that it's going to fall out if it moves, but 1/4 inch or so, so you can angle it and get those in there. And then lastly would be your ceiling tile. These 2x2s sit down in. It's got a little reveal on the tile. So I'll get all the cut pieces in first around the perimeter, starting with the corners. Cut it to fit. Doesn't have to be super tight. Set it up in there where it goes, and then make a little score mark, real nice and easy on there. And then you have to take it back out and cut that reveal. You might have to change your blade a bunch of times on these, but keep a nice sharp blade. So you got to cut about halfway through and then cut that end piece off so the panel will sit down in. Doing each one individually like this is going to keep a nice crisp line around your exterior walls, especially if you have, if you got a little bump in the wall or something's a little crooked. You'll never know it because you cut your ceiling tile like this. You can't tell if there's a 1/4 inch discrepancy in the wall. So this one actually goes from a half to 3/4 ish, a little bit crooked. So if I would have cut that panel straight, it would have looked all messed up and I would have had to throw it away. So doing each one individually makes it turn out real nice. Like I said, this is kind of a small ceiling, but you get the idea. So hope that helps. Good luck.